Drink some margaritas by swinging blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? I wanna dance by water beneath the Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by swinging blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me? Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by swinging blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me? I wanna dance by water beneath the Mexican sky. Drink some margaritas by swinging blue lights. Listen to the mariachi play at midnight. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. How's everyone doing? Yeah? A couple of housekeeping things before we get moving. I don't know if you'd heard me mention it before, if you've heard it since the day started, but these tickets, if you hang out and engage with the sponsors in the booths out there, they have these great tickets with raffles, and we're going to be doing some giveaways right before the closing keynote today, giving away all kinds of fun stuff like tickets for next year's event. Swag. Also, we have some iWatches. They're going to be raffled off as well, so make sure you do that. Go hang out with them, get to know them, and they have these tickets for you, and you can be entered to draw that. Also, if you're having issues with the Wi-Fi, just move closer. The Wi-Fi is good the closer you get. I don't know if that was a trick that they did to get everyone to move forward, but feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started with this next session. So please help me welcome to the stage, everybody, from Shoot, Gregarious Nerain, everybody.
Hey. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for your time today. I have 42 slides, so it was a little ambitious, so I'm going to go pretty fast. But feel free to ask questions when we get to the end. I'm at Gregarious if you need to reach me, or you can also email me ahead. Today we're going to be talking about how to involve customers in the marketing process and ultimately how to be more successful in that endeavor. My name is Gregarious. I'm a startup guy, entrepreneur, and it turns out I'm a marketer. Did you think my name was really Gregarious? I work at Shoot. We work with brands and publishers and agencies, and we help them work and collaborate with their customers to create amazing marketing that delivers. First, I want to take a little tour real quick, though, of back through time of all the problems that are sort of facing marketers today. So, you know, the number one and primary thing, I think we've heard this recurring theme, is that we have to be authentic, right? Our formerly staged and sort of perfect moments are not so perfect anymore. People appreciate the authentic instead. We've moved away from not a purely campaign-based world to where we're sort of constantly having to think about it. I think Eve's talk is a perfect example of that. We're always on now. We're always trying to figure out ways to engage and interact with our customers. We've moved away from just paid channels, right? It used to be really great, I'd imagine, like when you just had sort of TV, print, and radio. But now we've got hundreds and hundreds of channels that we can service, and increasingly we own and operate our own channels, and of course, we're getting all this earned attention as well. And then probably one of the biggest challenges, and I think the broader trend going forward, is we're moving more and more towards personalized sort of content, right? Customers don't like feeling like they're being sort of fed the same generic idea over and over again. And so increasingly there's this sort of call for more one-on-one or personalized information. So what does that tell us? At the end of the day, we've got to be human. We've got to be real. And if we don't beware, we're going to have a lot of problems going forward. The techniques and tools that we've used in the past, they're all kind of flatlining, and we need a new way to actually reinvigorate our efforts. So let's take a look at the world from a different point of view, right? Let's challenge some of the things that we've actually talked about in the past. We always talk about platforms, but it's not really a mobile phone or a desktop or a tablet. It's actually a person on the other end of that device, right? And they're in a certain mood, a certain mindset. But that's what we're actually tailoring to. It's not the device, it's the person on the other end. We have to think in terms of communities, not channels, right? Twitter is not one big, huge ecosystem. Neither is Facebook, neither is Pinterest. Inside of there are hundreds and hundreds of different diverse communities that all provide us different opportunities for talking to a customer in a way that's very relevant. More than half of consumers already use more than one actual social network, so we have to sort of be present. We have to move beyond the advertisement. Now, what we're ultimately hoping to unlock, right, with all of our marketing, is to get our customers to become advocates for us, right? Actually being out there, being those living, walking advertisements of the brand, of the product, of our services. Ad blocking alone is costing us $22 billion a year, and the latest versions of the browsers actually remove Flash entirely. So even more things are disappearing. And this is probably the most important slide in the entire deck. We always think about the marketing funnel from top to bottom, from awareness down. What's at the bottom of that funnel? The customer. What if we turned it on the side, right? Instead, we use them as the megaphone to actually drive more of our messages. Now, this stuff doesn't come easy, right? I think every time I talk about this with a marketer, they're like, but my company is not really set up to do this. And guess what? No one's company is set up to do this. Most brands are not publishers. Most companies are not publishers, right? So there's some new learned behavior that we have to create. But this behavior is twofold. It's not as simple as just internal. There's actually two pieces to it, right? And we have to foster what I call a culture of contribution in the customer base, where they want to give us stuff, and we also have to foster that culture of content internally, so our employees are all working to actually create together. So let's dig in a little bit. On the contribution side, it's really about activating customers so that they know that you are willing and ready to receive their input, their information, their ideas. And it takes a bit of work. Number one, you have to stop telling stories and start making them together. Right? How can we collaborate with our own customers to find out ways to talk about our product that are more effective for actually communicating the value of it? We need to consult them, right? It's amazing, the statistic, right? Most marketers actually don't talk to their customers about how they should be messaged. But if we have a question that's pressing, we often can go back to our customer and figure out, like, hey, what made you make that decision? What brought you to this point with us, right? And if we talk to them, we can learn a great deal. We need to put them on a pedestal, and this is really, really important. And we see this in the 200 plus campaigns we've probably done with customers in the last couple of years. What happens is that there has to be a feedback loop, right? So this participation must be rewarded, right? We have to figure out, how do we reward the behavior itself? How do we say thank you for what you've done, for the contribution you've made to us, right? Maybe that's a tweet, maybe it's a mention somewhere, maybe it's a gift, whatever it may be. We need to figure out ways that we actually do reward the customer in the process. Now, that's the customer side, right? That's already a lot of work. Then there's a whole bunch of other work that we have to do in-house as well, right? We need to activate our employees and all of our own team, our most passionate people, right, to actually become advocates as well. So we need to make sure we give everyone a voice. For example, in our company, various teams inside of the company are actually all responsible for writing and creating content that goes live. Right? And that's a number of different points of view that services a number of different points of view from our own customers as well. But sometimes I want to hear from engineering, sometimes I want to hear from marketing, sometimes I want to hear from sales. But the goal being that we should activate as many people who have amazing ideas inside of the company and bring them forward. We need to also sort of take a step back and not worry so much about all of the volume that we need to post, right? There seems like this impetus. It feels like this urge that we constantly have to create more and more and more. But the reality is that what we know is that great content that connects will work better regardless of the volume of it, right? Now, hopefully there's also a bit of volume there, but the reality is it's not about volume, it's about creating value first. And if we do that, we can actually be a lot more successful and then figure out how to scale and have more of that content. Big one here. Just go do it. Every time I talk to a customer, they're sort of like, yeah, well, you need to go do a whole bunch of these things and this and this and this to get it right. A lot of the newer mediums like social are a lot more forgiving, right? You have a chance to sort of correct and learn. Take advantage of that, right? But the easiest way to start is to start, right? If you can actually get going, you'll learn and figure out how to do it better. And then, of course, to summarize, you have to be brutally honest about what's working and what's not working. That means making sure that you're measuring, determining up front what's going to count as success, right? And then being honest and true to those things. But give it time. Remember, this doesn't happen automatically. It's not instantaneous. You don't build a base in a day. It takes a while, right? So you have to also give it a little room to grow. And last, and certainly not, I made up the statistic, by the way, but enjoy yourself, right? As much as it is work, finding ways to actually connect with that content, that human aspect of it, being real, enjoying, what is it that you enjoy every day when you go to work? What would you want to tell somebody about what you do at work? If you can enjoy yourself, all of this stuff happens a lot easier than if you try and force it out. So, how do we reboot this process? There's a number of different things we need to do. Number one, I would say, is smashing the quality prism. And the quality prism is this sort of notion that a lot of brands hold, that everything has to be perfect before I can do it. And so if we look at what consumers create, there's nothing perfect about it. And that's very endearing and real. And I think if we can map our own expectations down a notch, not saying to sacrifice quality, right? But don't necessarily assume that it has to be perfect. Because this is the number one reason I see brands hide from doing something, is that they feel like it has to be perfectly articulated and squared and packaged before they can even do it. Nobody cares anymore, right? You can build up to better and better. You will get more efficient at being better over time. But that's a skill you have to learn. You need to adapt a new way of seeing the world. I have a much longer presentation that actually can go into this, but instead you can probably just download it from our website. But this aperture is really about how do we think about content marketing. These 8 blades are all different facets that we recommend you think about whenever you create a piece of content. Everything from who's the audience that you're targeting, what's it going to look like in different channels, how visual is it? P.S. Everything has to be visual. So this is the way we need to start thinking about the content at the strategic level, and then it starts to operate at the tactical level. This photo is awesome. And I know the irony, of course, that I am using not stock, but something like stock throughout this deck. But stock photography generally sucks. It's usually not very relevant. It tends to, it may be seen or visible other places, other people are using it, right? And also, most importantly, people know it's stock photography, right? It's like that thing with pornography. Like, you know it when you see it. So, we've done some research on this, and we've actually found that the number one deployed visual tool for marketers is what? Stock photography. What's the least performing? Stock photography. So, find ways to get other kinds of media. Bring other media into the fold. Get your employees active. Get them out there. Interview customers. Make media. It's actually the easiest thing. Everyone here right now can make a picture, right? And you can use that. That begins to start the process. But don't look to stock immediately. If you're really in a rush, I got it. You're going to have to do it sometimes. But ideally, what you want to do is build up your own database of great media that you can use that's really on message and right from your heart. I was talking to analysts the other day, and I sort of blurbed this out. But, earned is the new owned media, right? It is not really about trying to figure out how to make as much stuff as possible. It is how do I curate the best stuff possible and bring that into the fold, right? When a customer is out there advocating for you and creating media, talking about you, sharing something you've made, they are taking it on themselves to promote your content. All of that earned reach is yours. It's yours now, right? But what do you do with it? Usually we just observe it, we count it, right? What we need to do is actually engage it and start to move the needle. So let's start from the beginning now, right? This is the top-down countdown here. The model that I propose is something I call customer-bound marketing, right? And so everyone here employs inbound and outbound strategies. Customer-bound is like a meta strategy, right? What it does, and the premise of it is really like, can I weave the customer into the marketing process? And at the heart, of course, is the customer, and the rack is the thing that's protecting you, right? So that customer-bound model means that we can rely and work with the consumer and the customer throughout the process to create better marketing that lands better, right? And we've seen this, I've seen this hundreds of times now with our own customers. Every time we invent behavior, it's a much harder process. We have to convince people to do something. However, if we look for what customers are doing, talk to them and engage them beforehand, they always have outsized returns compared to the other scenario. So we got to make some ice, right? What's ice? We got to ideate with customers, we got to create with them, and we got to evangelize. I tried to find a word that ended with 8 for the E, but it didn't work. But the goal here, right, is that all three of these things are things that we can actively and easily do today. You don't need software per se to do it, right? You can go out to your customers and ask them for ideas. You can certainly engage them to help you in the process of talking about the product and making media. And absolutely, when things go live and they're vested and they help create something, you absolutely know they're going to evangelize it for you. Here's that analogy, right? Here's the funnel. But what if we turn it on its side, right? Suddenly we get the customer becoming the beginning of that process, not just the end. And remember the top of the funnel? It's changed quite a bit, actually, right? We've moved on some. So it's evolved a bit, right? We need to rethink the relationships, right? Our customers, our advocates, they are active participants in the marketing process today. And we need to work with that. So the funnel looks a little different at the top, right? You've got celebrities, who will do stuff for money. You've got influencers who will do stuff if they love it. And they've got ambassadors who pay you to do stuff, right? So activating all of these parts of the top of the funnel give you more access, more opportunities at the top. Customers provide you a way to drill a hole right through the middle and go to the bottom. This is the title of a book I'm actually working on. The idea is really simple, right? If we stop thinking about our customers as personas, only as targets, the destination, and instead think about them as peers, we're working elbow to elbow with them, our opportunities for success grow tenfold, right? Because we're trying to scale to the scale of customers. So what scales like customers? Customers. Our little teams, 2, 3, 5, 20, whatever it is, we're never going to be able to keep up with the amount of stuff that's happening out there and all the places and all the corners that our customers are already hanging out. Our only chance is to work with them and collaborate with them to actually be more successful. And just in case you're wondering, this really does work, right? Everybody knows all these brands, right? And most people tend to remember them or think about them. But what's amazing about these brands is that they are so aligned in their message that when we see them, we feel like it's such amazing marketing that they've actually created. The reality is it's just really true. If you thought about the Venn diagram about how a brand thinks of itself and how a customer thinks of a brand, these companies get them right in the center. That's our goal, just trying to get those two things together, right? So that we represent ourselves as close to how our customers think of us and as close to how we want to be. So voice of the customer is the last voice standing. The more we can become it, the more chance we have for success. Thank you for your time. Happy to take questions. Did I do all 40 slides? Wow. Can't see, so can't tell if anyone has. Just yell out if you have anything. No? Great. All right. Enjoy the rest of the day.
everybody. We're gonna, at this point, I believe they have lunch rolled out, so if you guys wanna go out to the lobby, you can grab that, and come back in here, grab your seat for the keynote, which is gonna be great. We have Andy Beal from Tracker, the CEO of Tracker, so go ahead and grab yourself a lunch. We'll be back here in just a little bit. Also, while you're out there, if you wanna mingle around and talk to the sponsors, we can do that, and then we'll be back here in just a few minutes. Thanks, guys.
Dreams I have had, and every one a red balloon. It's all over and I'm standing pretty in this dust that was.